We are wired to believe and understand that sexual energy is just about pleasure. But what if I tell you this energy that you call sexual is your gateway to your creative, spiritual, and even financial success? One of the popular books, Think and Grow Rich, dedicates an entire chapter on it. Napoleon Hill, the author, he calls it sexual transmutation. But before Napoleon Hill wrote about it, there were many authors who spoke about the power of your sexual energy. After Napoleon Hill wrote this book, there are many more authors who talked about it. But hundreds and even thousands of years ago, there were sages and mystics and teachers who not only studied, researched, and learned about this powerful energy, but created the science of meditation, Tantra, yoga, simply based around understanding how to harness this powerful energy within you. In this video, I'll talk about 3 powerful principles on how you can channel this sexual energy for your creative and spiritual growth. But also I'll share a very specific techniques from the ancient traditions to hold a grip over that energy and dedicate it to higher consciousness, which I don't think you have heard or read anywhere on the most popular channels. My name is Chandresh Bhardwaj. You can call me CB. And let's dive into this video. Now, what exactly is sexual energy transmutation? It's a conscious practice of understanding the urge in your body to indulge impulsively and then consciously channel it toward your creative, spiritual, emotional, or intellectual pursuit. This practice, when done properly and consistently, it starts to enhance your creativity, builds your focus, and ultimately starts to assist you in your spiritual journey. Do not confuse sexual energy transmutation with celibacy. Originally celibacy, it's called brahmacharya in the Eastern traditions, which literally translates to lifestyle of the divine. Now imagine lifestyle of the divine. It has to be with awareness, joy, calmness, strength within, correct? But the way modern celibacy is really, played out, it's reduced to a trauma response. It's reduced to this suppression where most people indulge in celibacy simply because they had an ugly breakup or, they feel traumatized or scared by their past relationships, and then they start to suppress that energy, which obviously does not translate well. Anything that you suppress will add to your depression, will add to your anxiety and fear. Sexual energy transmutation is not celibacy. The transmutation is a process of learning, channeling, and evolving your own energy so that you can become who you were meant to be. Now, before we get into the principles and the Tantra practice in the end, I want to talk about why do we even need to learn about this. Obviously, this kind of work is not for everyone. It's for open-minded seekers. It's for those who are done with the lukewarm way of life, who are done with the usual repetitive patterns of life. It's for those who are willing to experience ecstasy within themselves. But why do we need to learn more? One of my teaching experiences in the field of spirituality has been at the drug rehab centers in US. I've taught there, created meditation programs, spoke there for more than 10 years. And addiction is something that I find extremely sensitive and powerful subject to explore and discuss and talk and open our minds to. I'm not a therapist, not a clinical psychologist. My observation and understanding of addiction happened through a very human lens, through the lens of a Tantra teacher, meditation guide. And what I learned there was actually so powerful. A few days ago, New York Times had an article about addiction. I'm actually going to read my notes from there. So it basically really translates the need for transmutation so well through this article. It says the issue of addiction is often misunderstood as simply seeking more dopamine hits or pleasure. However, addiction is more complex and is primarily driven by unmet emotional needs and attempts to cope with pain rather than pursuit of excess pleasure. The brain's dopamine system plays a role, but it's not the only factor in the addiction. Many people, especially in a modern society, are filled with constant distractions and easy access to shallow reward system. And they are not just chasing the dopamine, but they're struggling with, pay attention to this, disconnection, loneliness, and lack of purpose. The article further says solution is not to eliminate pleasurable activities like social media or certain indulgence through dopamine fast, but rather to create healthier, meaningful connection and experiences. We must focus on rebuilding a sense of community, connection, and purpose in our lives rather than attempting to minimize pleasure seeking behaviors. This article spoke to me because somehow it channels the Eastern wisdom in a really interesting modern language. The goal is not to suppress your urges, but to rather build a safe and nurturing space where your creativity, your self expression starts to find a peaceful and a creative expression. If this makes sense to you, let's dive into principle number one. Your sexual energy is your creative force. In the Eastern traditions, or specifically in Tantra, we do not divide energy as spiritual energy, sexual energy, cosmic energy, and so on. There are no different departments. Think of your energy as a free flowing river. When the river is not handled well, it may cause flood. But when it's channeled well, it may give strength to the plants, the life, the mountains, the trees on its way, and of course the humans who depend on that river. Your energy has that free flowing, playful, fluid energy. Okay, it has that potential and capability to create life. But when you do not use it, it will cause flood. Okay, so one interesting way to understand your energy is energy. Do not label it differently. Start treating it as an energy. Now, Tantra says, anytime sexual urge shows up in you, instead of immediately giving into the habit of releasing it, do something different. Give a surprise to your mind and body. Like, as you already might be knowing, we are nothing but a product of our habits, right? Sometimes we are not hungry, but we'll eat food simply because it's the time. Sometimes you don't want to drink coffee, but simply because it's 9 a.m. or 4 p.m., you hit, a coffee bar. And so many habits, experiences we keep, indulging in only because they are just a chain of habits that we have never paid attention to. One of the interesting way to track your habit is through apps. I use the app called Atoms by James Clear, Atomic Habits. He's not sponsoring this episode or my channel, but I love, what he does and how he does it. And there are many more apps. Feel free to use an app that speaks to you. But in these apps, you get to track your habit. And then you also get to see the patterns. When you indulge in it, sometimes you break one habit and 4 other habits will also be, shattered for that day. It's so interesting how we work, how we show up, how we react, how our emotions, move. So my point is, track your habits. When do you impulsively indulge in these energy outlets? You have to pretty much retrain, rewire your mind and body and awareness that anytime this urge shows up in me, I'm going to handle it differently. In the ancient texts such as Vigyan Bhairav Tantra or Kama Sutra, lust is not always given an impulsive outlet. Lust turns into playfulness. Lust turns into a foreplay. Lust turns into a passionate, creative play between two people. Whether you're solo or with a partner, it would be so interesting that when you have the urge, let's say it's Friday evening, and your mind says it's Friday evening, I'm going to indulge today, either by myself or with my partner, do something different that night. Indulge in creative writing, cooking, gardening, planning a dream board, anything at all. The goal is to move your energy, shake that energy into expressing something different through you. When you start to believe that my energy is actually capable of creating so much more, You start to see different expressions of it. You start to see your real potential coming out. Because our society and the entire media and the system around us constantly brainwashes us to feel and believe that your sexual energies are meant to be indulged impulsively. And there are so many sexual messages hidden in everything. You may buy a salad or a bottle of water or a laptop. There are hidden subconscious, messages, and you give in to that energy only because you haven't understood this, what's seeking this expression within you. I often say before you indulge and ask yourself, am I lonely, hungry, or tired? Because the chances are, if you're lonely, hungry, tired, or even bored, you may impulsively indulge in. I'll recap the principle one. Your sexual energy is your creative energy. Shift the mindset, shift the perspective, and start creating creative outlets for what you do. And obviously, you understood, if you do not have a sense of purpose, if you don't have a sense of what your creative passion is, this principle might be collapsed on day one. Most people, they're either too hard on themselves when it comes to their purpose. They struggle, join, programs and mentorship spaces to understand what is my purpose. But my friend, life doesn't have a purpose. Life is a purpose. When you wake up every morning and you find yourself drawn to doing something, experiencing something, the purpose will start to show up in its own magical way. No one I know, including myself, has figured out their purpose. We all are taking baby steps to express who we are. Self-expression is part of the purpose. Meditation, dancing, writing, anything that's creative is part of the purpose. And then that creative expression can become part of anything bigger. But start somewhere, take the baby steps, because then these energies developing in you will find a much more powerful expression. And that brings me to point two, principle two, the law of delayed gratification. One of the biggest trap we are surrounded with is the instant gratification. Anything that is here, it needs to be satisfied right away. You want to watch a movie? Within one click, that movie could be playing on your screen. If it doesn't, you start to get annoyed. You want to swipe someone left or right, it has to be done right away. Someone's opinions or expression doesn't align with you, hit unfollow, unsubscribe. Everything has become so rooted in this impulsive reactive spaces, and we want to be satisfied right away. And that obviously plays out in the sexual energy too. You want to satisfy it right away. You want to indulge in it. There is no mindfulness there. There is no slow burn there. There is no passion, play, or purpose or intention in how it's playing out. And when that happens, you're not training your prana, your consciousness, to move in the right direction. There's a powerful and very popular test that was done called marshmallow test. What they did in marshmallow test, children were given marshmallows, and what they studied, what they concluded was children who waited to take the second marshmallow and didn't consume the first one right away, they had much better life outcomes in terms of their exam results and how they grew professionally, personally in their life. Obviously, these results are affected and influenced by many other factors that may be known or unknown. But my point is, this kind of patience and delaying the gratification does work out well in your personal, spiritual, emotional healing. It has to. When you do not, indulge with emotions, you will find something much more powerful within you. I've also, observed when I work with entrepreneurs, creative artists, the problems they have, they're not business problems. They are human problems. And a human problem can be solved through the human energy. And you might be thinking, so if I delay gratification, I'll improve my business, I'll improve my personal life, I'll improve my romantic life. The answer is yes. Because who knows why you are indulging? The why is so important. Why you are numbing down or indulging in a certain behavior repeatedly, that says a lot about how you are consciously or unconsciously playing with this energy. But when you start to master your gratification, you transcend the mind. You start to rewrite the systems of your mind. I hope that makes sense. And what you can do today, anytime this urge arises, instead of indulging in it impulsively, instead of replying to that text, impulsively, change the narrative. Think what else I can do with this. Think what else I can do in this moment with this rising energy. And if you have a list or a outlet system that I can go running, I can write, I can, go to gym, I can go for a walk, yoga, cooking, anything, it just becomes easy. Reduce the friction between you and that creative outlet. You shouldn't be needing to do 10 steps before arriving at that outlet. It has to be simple, easy, and powerful. I hope that makes sense. And now we arrive at the last final principle, using Tantra energies to transmute your sexual energy. Now, Tantra is a complicated subject. Tantra gets quite a bit of reputation out there. And I don't blame you if you feel uneasy with Tantra. I come from a Tantra lineage, and the way I see the modern Tantra and the Tantra I grew up learning, they are two different schools of spirituality. The modern Tantra creeps me out as well. I feel very uncomfortable when I see how Tantra has just become a soft porn and nothing else. In reality, Tantra is the entire system that you can follow to cultivate healing, joy, playfulness, sensuality within your own being and have access to what I call the cosmic downloads. Now, for this particular point, for the sexual energy transmutation, I want to mention 3 very interesting energies that are mentioned and spoke about a lot in the Tantra circle. I know you cannot see the faces of the goddesses behind me, but these are the 10 unique goddesses in Tantra called Das Mahavidya, means the 10 prime goddesses. I'm going to pick 3 goddesses from here to explain how Tantra actually helps you to transmute the energy in a powerful way. Number 1 is Goddess Kali. Many of you may have heard of it. Goddess Kali is not at all what you see on Google images or certain other images. Kali is consciousness. Kali means nothingness, infinity. Goddess Kali, to fully understand her, think of midnight sky. The mystery, the endless, unknown energy of the midnight sky is what the Kali is. The reason she is blue and black bodied is because she holds the ability to absorb anything that is not serving you, that is not helping you to grow, not helping you to live your fullest expression. This is why Kali's energy was also demonized and branded as something not spiritual, not good, not for everyone. But the truth is, Kali simply means infinity, that nothingness in the midnight sky. If you wish to break your trauma, your unconscious loyalty to your fears, to the cultural conditioning, family conditioning, to the thoughts, limiting stories that have constantly sabotaged your growth, there is no powerful power in the spirituality other than Goddess Kali. I do not even call her Goddess Kali. I always use the word Kali consciousness, because for me, this is all consciousness. Through meditation practices, through mantras, through properly channeling, inviting her energy, the magic starts to happen. It will start to dismantle the stories, the thoughts, the beliefs that are holding you back, to own your desires and needs. Our culture doesn't do a good job. Actually, it does a terrible job when it comes to knowing what are your desires, what are your needs. It's messed up for everyone, for all genders. Let's just say that. And working on forces like Kali help you to understand what I need and what I don't need. Second powerful force in this process is Matangi. Matangi goddess, some of you may know her as Saraswati. Saraswati is the goddess of speech, art, wisdom. I went to Catholic school in India, But imagine every morning we would say a prayer for Saraswati also, because she's known as the sweet goddess for all the students. Matangi is Saraswati on steroids. if I can if I can, use this analogy to explain her. Matangi is no nonsense, energy. The story is that Matangi was outlawed, rejected, abandoned by the patriarchy and the system. But she found her expression even when she was rejected, even when she was abandoned by the systems, by the culture. And she found her voice, and she enables artists, creative thinkers, rebellious writers, and seekers to find their self expression. Matangi is one of the goddesses I have been meditating for more than 15 years. And I've always said this, for someone who grew up in a tiny town in India, left that town, moved to New York, works in LA and New York, and if I can make my living through speaking, writing, and I'm not trained in either, I give the credit to forces like Matangi, who open your channel and help you to speak your truth, help you to speak, what you are here to deliver, and give you the courage to not speak the messages that are not yours, but thrown at you by others. All right, Matangi is the ultimate muse of my work, so big shout out to her. Third and the final goddess in this space is Lalita Tripura Sundari, which means the goddess who is the most beautiful and empowered in all the dimensions. Many of you may understand this goddess as Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, but they are very different deities or energies. Lakshmi is very playful, fluid energy. She may be with you today, tomorrow she may be gone. That's why she's the playful one. She might be, there for months, and randomly one day you wake up and she's gone. That's the energy of Lakshmi. Lalita Tripura Sundari is different. This is why she has been known as the goddess of sages and kings and masters in the past. Lalita Tripura Sundari is also known as Shri Vidya, means the wholesome energy, the conscious abundance. The reason she is so powerful and so looked upon is because her message is, you deserve to have the best of both worlds. You deserve to have the spiritual growth and the financial abundance. You deserve to enjoy your sensuality, but also your spirituality. You don't have to renounce anything. You can continue to build balance. Remember, she's the goddess of balance, conscious abundance, not just making wealth blindly and not just meditating constantly, the balance of both. And I'm a teacher, I'm a seeker who loves empowering people to find their material success, but also their spiritual growth. I'm not someone who's going to applaud you when you are, fully drenched in poverty. I want you to get out of that mindset where you hate people who make money, or you simply hate the idea of making money and still be spiritual. I want you to have the balance with gratitude for all the pleasures and the luxury of life without feeling guilt and shame. If you want to renounce everything, settle in the Himalayas, I may not be the right person for you, but there are many monks who live there. And I bet, many of them have actually found the truth, but that's their path, right? Lalita Tripura Sundari teaches you something else. She says, come, be playful, be in your sensuality, creativity, spirituality, because that's the way of a modern human life. And this is why I find it very powerful. So the conclusion of this principle is, when you work with these three deities in a very systematic way, in a very conscious way, there is no looking back for you. This is obviously the advanced layers of energy transmutation. If you have any questions about this, feel free to comment below or DM me on Instagram at CB Meditates. Now, before we go into the practice that I call devotional offering practice for the energy transmutation, I do want to mention the help is there if you need it. I have spiritual mentorship program available. I have Cosmic Circle, a community of seekers and creatives and rebellious thinkers who meditate every month based on the recordings, the Dharma talks, the cosmic meditations I create for them. If this is too much of commitment for you, continue to listen to these audios, my podcast, The Leela Show, or message me on Instagram to get the conversation going. This is a space where I want you to feel empowered, where I want you to feel inspired. So hopefully these videos, do that for you. Now, coming to the devotional offering practice. It's called so because it is an offering, and it is a devotional offering to the deity or the universe or the higher energy that you truly believe in. I'll take you through the steps involved in this process, and those who are part of the cosmic circle will receive entire guided meditation and dharma talk based on this idea. To set this up, have an altar, a small table will do, a cushion, candle, flowers, nice music in the background. Make sure you're not disturbed. Make sure it's the hour of the day where you are feeling easy, free, joyful, relaxed. And it would be actually very helpful if you practice this while you're going through the urges, the emotional, sexual urges within to indulge. Because when that urge arises, that is the time you start to redirect the energy into something different. So I'm assuming you have the candle set up, the music, the flowers, and all of that stuff is there. Now what? Start to understand the breathing pattern. How's your breathing in this moment? If it's too tense, slow it down. If it's too slow, take deep breaths and relax. Then get into the conscious breathing, which is inhaling of the breath, holding of the breath, and slowly exhaling it. Do it for 2-3 minutes. And every time you exhale, you are letting go of any shame, resistance, guilt, voice of your father, mother, partner, anyone that is limiting you, that is speaking in your head that this, the sexual energy is terrible, it's shameful, sinful. Get those voices out of your system. And then it becomes a game of self-reverence and intention. You have to have a self-reverence. You cannot be feeling any less of your existence. You have to have the reverence, respect for who you are and why you exist and why you are here, all right? And then build the intention to consciously channel your sexual and sensual energy into higher outlets. Now, this is how it plays out. Close your eyes and bring your awareness on the heart center. On the heart chakra, I want you to visualize either universe, an object in the nature, could be a mountain, a river, flowers, could be a deity, could be a dream project you're working on, a book you're writing, a house you're building, anything that is really a passion project for you. Feel it here. Breathe in, hold the breath, breathe out. And have this personal statement that I offer this sacred sensual energy to XYZ, whatever that symbol is. Could be a goddess, part of universe, your passion project, anything. All right. After that, keep the eyes closed, but feel the movement of energy from the lower spine, crossing the chakras and touching your heart, your throat, and third eye, repeating again and again. That urge you're feeling, start to visualize it as a light. Now that light is no more in the lower chakras, it's moving. And consciously, you're moving it upward. Some of you, if you want to touch yourself or touch a partner, do it intentionally, do it mindfully. Remember, we are not suppressing it, but we are also not releasing it impulsively. We are learning a conscious channeling of this energy. So mindful touch is fine, intentional touch is fine, and gently, mindfully, safely, lovingly, you can raise this energy. And when you feel this energy has reached its peak at the heart or the throat or the third eye, wherever it decides to settle, then you release this energy fully, unapologetically to that passion project. And by releasing the energy, I mean literally releasing that energy, in form of energy. I'm not talking about any bodily fluids here. So don't bring your ideas into it, because this has been a question many times. why I say do not release bodily fluids in this, because then people start to actually indulge even more impulsively, because their mind is saying, yeah, you are doing the practice. But if you are doing it every day, even multiple times a day, now you have built in a new addiction, a new problem. This is sensitive. This is powerful. We are moving into many gray areas here. So you have to, this has to be dealt with compassion, reverence, and a deep love for what you want to become. Read this so much on social media all the time. I wish I didn't waste my time on this mindless relationship for so long. I wish I didn't, wasted my time on late night chats and doing all the stuff that I did. The bottom of all of this is seeking some pleasure, love, sexual affection. Nothing wrong with it. But when you do it with the wrong people, when you do it with people who have their unresolved karma, it mixes up with you. And then you start to feel, what the hell is wrong with me? Then you start to lose respect for yourself. So these are all very sensitive, gentle areas. I almost didn't even mention, this practice. I was like, maybe it's not needed. But I know many of you actually listen and actually practice. So my hope is this simple practice of setting up the altar, doing the conscious breathing, inhaling, exhaling the breath, and moving this light, and also honoring the sensuality, the sexual urge that's showing up, and using that sexual energy and throwing it, like pouring it on that creative project. Do this for a few days, and you'll notice there's a glow on your face. There's clarity and focus and attention. I mean, this is a big topic. As you explore it more and more, if this is your first time listening to it, you'll be surprised how much of this kind of content is out there. What I share here is the tantric aspect of it, but people are sharing from the neuroscience point of view, scientific point of view, even their personal experiences. So yeah, I hope this video speaks to you. I hope this brings you empowerment. I hope this helps you to be free from the known and the stuck layers of mind. I'm Chandresh Bhardwaj, and thank you again for watching the video. We'll see you in the next one.